ready to dive into some seriously mind-bending ideas. We're talking G.K. Chesterton and his book, Orthodoxy.
Chesterton, the master of turning everything we think we know on its head.
He really was. He once said, "The world will never starve for want of wonders, but only for want of wonder." And orthodoxy, well, that's a masterclass in wonder.
It's his own journey, you know, from doubt to this passionate, and I mean passionate defense of Christianity, but not how you'd expect.
Totally. It's like, here we are a century later, and we're wrestling with the same things. So much information coming at us, new ideas all the time. Easy to feel a little lost.
Chesterton was right there with us, asking those big questions, even if the answers, well, they were definitely unexpected.
And that's putting it mildly. Because right off the bat, Chesterton hits us with this curveball. He says the foundation of his whole philosophy, fairy tales. Like the stuff we read as kids.
Sounds crazy, right? But that's Chesterton, always making us reconsider what we think we know. Maybe those fairy tales are onto something deeper.
See, that's what throws me. Because isn't faith supposed to be, I don't know, the opposite of make-believe?
That's a common assumption, for sure. But Chesterton argues those fairy tales, they train us to see the wonder in the world. That things could be different. But at the same time, there's an order to it all. Even with magic, even when things change in an instant, there are still rules, consequences.
Okay, I need an example. Give me something specific to wrap my head around this.
He uses the image of a tree. Picture a scientist. Sees an apple fall, says, well, if you cut the branch, the apple, it falls. All about those laws of nature, right? Cause and effect.
Makes sense so far.
Right. But then Chesterton introduces a witch from a fairy tale. She says, below the horn and the castle falls. Now we're in a different world, where cause and effect, it's magical beyond our understanding.
There's definitely a sense of wonder there. You blow a horn, a whole castle collapses. It makes you think some things don't have a simple explanation.
Exactly. And Chesterton's point is, we can get stuck in these extremes. Either everything is predetermined, like that falling apple, or it's just chaos, nothing means anything, there's no truth. But fairy tales, they offer another way of seeing things.
So embracing the wonder and the order without those extremes.
You got it.
It's so true, though. Think about it. We're always looking for explanations.
Yeah.
But then life throws a curveball, and the easy answers don't cut it anymore.
All the time. And that's where Chesterton could be so helpful. He's not saying, throw out logic, throw out reason, but he is saying, embrace the mystery, the things we can't always explain. Don't give up on hope.
It's like he's giving us permission to say, it's okay to feel a sense of wonder, even when things are tough, even when we don't have all the answers.
Exactly that. And this idea, this holding on to wonder and order, it's the foundation for so much of what he explores in Orthodoxy. That thread, it connects everything from these fairy tales to good and evil to the core of his faith.
Speaking of good and evil, that's where Chesterton throws us another curveball. He says both optimists and pessimists, they're both dead wrong about the world. And this is from a devout Christian, which seems, well, kind of unexpected, right?
It does, doesn't it? But that's Chesterton for you, always shaking things up. And this whole good world gone wrong idea, it's huge for him.
I'm trying to wrap my head around it. Why would Chesterton, a man of faith, have a problem with both optimists and pessimists?
Well, because he thought they were both missing something really basic about the world. Chesterton believed the world was good deep down, inherently good, because, created by a good God. But, and this is key, he also knew something had gone wrong. The world wasn't perfect. There was evil, suffering, brokenness, all of it.
It's those fairy tales again, isn't it?
Yeah.
Magic and wonder, sure, but also darkness, danger. You can't have one without the other.
Exactly. Chesterton saw that reflected everywhere. He felt like blind optimism just ignored all the struggles people faced. But then cynical pessimism, that ignored the beauty, the good that was still there.
Okay, I can see that. But then how are you supposed to live? Knowing the world's good, but also messed up, it's a lot to carry.
And this is where Chesterton's ideas get really powerful. Because the world was good, but broken, he believed we have to fight for justice, for healing, for making the world what it was supposed to be.
So no pretending everything's perfect, but no giving up in despair either. It's about action.
Yes. We're not just watching the story unfold, we're part of it. We're supposed to be working towards something better.
That makes me think about all the movements today. Fighting for equality, the environment, human rights. They see the brokenness, but they're fighting for a better future. Like you said, we're part of the story.
Exactly. And this leads us to another one of Chesterton's, radical ideas. He believed Christianity, often seen as traditional, even outdated. He thought it was the most revolutionary force for good there is.
Whoa, hold on. How does that even work? How can a religion all about tradition be revolutionary? It's not like when I think revolutionaries, I think church.
I know, it sounds kind of backwards, right? But Chesterton points to ideas at the core of Christianity. And yeah, they're often misunderstood. But he says they can challenge the way things are and inspire real change.
Okay, you're going to have to explain this one. Give me an example. Help me out.
All right, take original sin. Tough concept for a lot of people, right? But Chesterton, he says it's not about bringing everyone down. He says it actually levels the playing field. It says we're all flawed right from the start. All of us need grace, need redemption. Doesn't matter how rich, powerful, whatever we are.
So it's not about earning your way to being good or looking down on others because you think you're better.
Exactly. He says it's about radical equality.
Never thought of it like that. What else did Chesterton see as this, hidden radical heart of Christianity?
Another one. The incarnation God becoming human, Jesus.
For those of us who might not know that term so well, could you, explain it a little?
Of course. So the incarnation, it's the belief that God literally became flesh and blood, born as Jesus, the divine experiencing being human. And Chesterton, he didn't see this as just some nice story. He saw it as the ultimate rebellion.
Against God.
Think about it. The most powerful force in existence, choosing to be vulnerable, to experience the world like we do, and then ultimately to sacrifice himself for us. Chesterton thought this flipped the whole idea of power on its head. True strength wasn't about force or control. It was about humility, service, self-giving love.
So true power is about lifting others up, not pushing them down. That is radical, especially with how the world usually sees power. What else did Chesterton point to as proof that Christianity was revolutionary?
Well, he talked about miracles. Now, some people, they see miracles as anti-reason, like breaking the laws of nature. But Chesterton, he saw them as proof that we can go beyond our limits, that we can fight for a better world, a more just and compassionate world, even when it seems impossible.
Those miracles are like reminders that we don't have to settle for the way things are. That change, even huge change, is possible. It's hopeful.
But how did Chesterton himself get here? How did he end up embracing all these radical ideas within Christianity? So we've talked about Chesterton's journey to faith, but what was it? Was there a turning point or was it more gradual?
He described it as a process, like testing out different ideas, seeing what made sense. He wasn't just going to accept things blindly,
Yeah, he wanted proof.
Right. He wanted reasons, and he found them in the logic of Christianity, which you wouldn't expect, right? So it wasn't about ignoring his brain. It was about using it.
Yeah.
Actively searching.
Exactly. He said once, I had found the key to my cosmos in the commonplace. He saw these simple truths in Christianity. They actually explained so much about life, about the world.
Those tests he put Christianity through. I'm curious about those. What were some of the things he struggled with?
Well, he looked at other philosophies, other ways of seeing things, and he felt like they were missing something. Like materialism, the idea that everything's just, matter and energy. He didn't think that could account for consciousness or free will, beauty, morality.
It's like trying to force something to shit where it doesn't belong.
Right. He also looked at all the skepticism back then, the cynicism, but it just wasn't enough. Plenty of reasons to tear things down, but nothing to build with.
So he needed something that could handle being questioned, but also that gave hope. Direction.
No.
It couldn't just be intellectual. It had to connect on a deeper level.
Yes. And this is where he talks about the key fitting the lock. Christianity, it all came together for him. God, humanity, sin, redemption, grace. It made sense of the world he saw.
It's that feeling when you finally get something, everything just clicks.
Exactly. And for Chesterton, this wasn't just in his head, it connected with his heart too. That longing for meaning, for purpose.
This takes me back to that wonder and order we talked about. Starts with those fairy tales, right? But it leads into this place of faith, where the world, even with all its craziness, starts to make sense.
That's it. And Chesterton saw a connection there. Between that childlike wonder and the humility you need for faith, he thought, a lot of times we try to simplify the world, make it something we can control. But faith, for him, it was about admitting there's mystery, and we can only really see it when our hearts and minds are open.
What a powerful thought. Approaching life, all the ups and downs, with wonder, like a child. Reminds us that sometimes truth isn't found in some stuffy book, but in the stories we tell, the experiences we have, the things that make us feel truly alive.
It's about remembering that searching for truth, it's an adventure, and sometimes the path less traveled, it takes you somewhere amazing.
Chesterton certainly gives us a lot to think about. Whether you agree with him or not, He makes you question what you believe, what you assume, and to hold on to that wonder, because the world, it tries to take that from us.
He reminds us it's okay to not have all the answers, that it's about asking the right questions and, embracing the mystery.
And on that note, we wrap up our deep dive into G.K. Chesterton's Orthodoxy. We've journeyed through his ideas about faith, reason, what it means to be human, and hopefully you're feeling that sense of wonder, that urge to keep exploring those big questions. Because, as Chesterton himself put it, there are only two kinds of people in the end. Those who say to God, "Thy will be done," and those to whom God says in the end, "Thy will be done."
That's a powerful thought. The choice, it's ours.
It really is. And until next time, keep those minds open and keep exploring those big questions out there.